Hi, I'm Sarah.
I'm Drew.
And we are back with another review for Let's Table It. Today we're talking about Quiltable from Circle J Games, designed by Jared Richardson. Let's take a quick look at a gameplay overview to start. In Quiltable, you're competing with other quilters to make the quickest quality quilt. To do this, on your turn, you will either select a pattern tile or select 1 to 3 connected quilt blocks and add them to your quilt. You could also remove quilt blocks and add them back to the quilting area. In the end, you will score points based on your quilt patterns as well as any extra bonuses from quality quilt tiles. Drew, what did you think of Quiltable?
Really light, simple game to set up. Just, one of those really good filler. Still has some, what I want to say, that freedom of choice, and it doesn't feel formulaic necessarily. You have a few different ways you can kind of attack things and operate that way.
Yeah, those quilt pattern tiles, I think, are very different from each other, and so you have a lot of options when you're drafting your scoring conditions. So I think that's really interesting. We also reviewed from Circle J the print and play version of this game, and it plays very similarly. You're just physically moving instead of moving them on a printed out pieces of paper.
Yeah.
The challenge of keeping the tiles in the same orientation as they come out adds a little bit to it, I think.
Definitely.
And that's where removing some of those quilt blocks from your quilt come into play as well. So overall, it is a fun, quick, simple.
Yep.
I think it scales pretty well in the directions. You will take out a certain number of cards based on the player count, and so that can kind of make for a different experience each time too, because you're not playing with all of the cards.
Yeah, it's not you don't know that there's 15 of these or 10 of the, it's gonna lend to a little bit more urgency in picking up certain ones.
Yes, definitely. Picking up those pattern tiles early on, I think, helps too, because you kind of then have something you're going for.
Yeah, they almost set like a self-picked goal.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So you're not super aimless. Sometimes those types of games, it's hard to get started because you're like, well, what do I want to do first?
Yeah, exactly.
So that helps a bit.
Yep.
I think if we had had more time with this prototype, because we did receive a prototype, so there might be some changes between now and final production, but I think if we'd had more time, we would have been able to play some of the more advanced variants, because there are some player powers that you can hand out and different abilities with that. And there's an advanced scoring mechanic too, where you can score if you match the sides of the quilts exactly. You can score some extra points that way too.
Yeah, and I think not only does that up the difficulty in things, but that variability. I mean, it lets you go as light or as heavy as far as kind of thinking and choices and decision wise as you want to go, and that's really nice. I like games that allow you to scale that difficulty.
Yes, and it kind of customizes that experience a little bit.
I mean, if you're playing with kids and things like that, you'll just do the basic and keep it simple. Like we said, if we had more time, we definitely looked at some of those player abilities and thought they'd be kind of interesting and really add a lot to the game.
Yep. So overall, we really enjoyed our time with Quiltable. Quiltable is coming soon to Kickstarter, so be sure to check the link below if you're interested in backing it. This has been another review for Let's Table It from Drew and Sara Anderson. If you want more board gaming content, make sure you're subscribed to Let's Table It. If you want to follow our family's day-to-day gaming adventures, we're on Instagram at Sarah Always Loses. Thanks for watching.